This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and look, firstly, to get something off my chest, I apologise for the podcast going out later today or yesterday, by the time you hear this, it's quite funny actually. So I'm currently staying at an Airbnb in Newtown in Sydney while I'm on my course, and the Wi-Fi here actually isn't really good. Like it's not on now, so I'm going to have to, for some reason my phone doesn't like to hotspot, so I'm going to have to borrow my girlfriend's phone to hotspot. But it wasn't working before we went out for a couple of drinks last night with some people from the crew, so I couldn't actually upload the podcast. And so when I got home, which was after midnight, it was after midnight on a school night. I'm a fucking badass. Anyway, I uploaded it, and naturally I actually uploaded it and scheduled it for the next date, but because it was already midnight, it scheduled it for the next, what's the date? Today's Wednesday, so it scheduled it for tomorrow, which is Thursday, which is when this is going to come out. And so I'm like, why my downloads are quite low, what's going on there? And I was like, oh, I scheduled it ahead. Right, that makes sense. Anyway, so my apologies for the late download or upload. You know what I mean. Anyway, it's there. You got it. I hope you got something out of it. I enjoyed delivering it. And today we're talking about excuses or outcomes. And what I find fascinating about excuses or outcomes is that you can't really have both. Now, people say it about excuses or results. They go, you can either have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And in true Dave form, I don't agree with that. Because if you have an excuse, you're still going to get a result. It may not be the result that you think that you want, but it may be the result that deep down you do want, because it probably feeds a deeper seated story as it is anyway. But you can't not get results. That's what people need to realize. You cannot not get results. All you get is results. The outcome of what you're doing is exactly that. So it's a result. Maybe it's a shitty result based on what you think you want. However, if you look at the input and the sum that has contributed to that outcome, then it kind of makes sense. So excuses of outcome or outcomes. Now, Dave, you already said outcomes instead of results. So what's the story about that? Is it the same thing? It's like yes and no. Now, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about when you set a target and you very definitive on what's to come out of that operation, of that sum, so to speak. And so you have this idea of going, outcomes are about what's to come out of what I'm about to apply myself to. This is a really important distinction. Now, the difference with the results is like they'll just occur anyway, but when we actually set ourselves things that we have decided to come out of the effort we're putting in, now that's very different. And so one of the things that's really crucial for us to really step back and look at is going, hang on a sec, is my excuse more important than what the outcome is for me? And if you're not getting it, and you're thinking about giving up, then the excuse is more important. The story that you're telling yourself is more important than what the outcome is. The outcome may take time. That's normal. That's human. That's life. There's no expectation or timeline, and there's no meant to be here or meant to be there. It's just a continual unfolding and continual learning. So in fact, that's got a lot to do with self-esteem, which is effectively self-value. Because when we value ourselves in the sense of learning, it doesn't matter what the content or context is. We value the learning that we'll have in that unfolding moment, as opposed to what we're meant to know in order to be able to deliver whatever we're meant to be delivering in that moment. There's a very static and a very, very flowing way to look at those two different situations. And so it's so crucial for us to go, hang on a sec, let's just step back and think for a second, what is the outcome that I want? And ask ourselves, and truly ask ourselves, do I even want this? Or is there external references and forces that which are the reasons why I want it? And this is what's interesting. It's like, my PT helped me get my got me the best results. It's like, nah, fuck off. Like, I don't buy into that bullshit. It's your PT did fuck all. You just basically handed over your power for 12 weeks to try and lose some weight. And great, you lost the weight, but you still fucking hate yourself, right? Like nothing's changed. You just weigh less. Like nothing's actually changed. What you thought that weight loss, well, there you go, weight loss, the weight loss would give you, doesn't fucking give it to you. You already have that. This is the whole like you are already enough kind of conversation. You don't need a condition to be enough. You're already enough. Just chip away the bullshit and the weight comes off because you're being who you should be anyway, right? The weight was put on for a reason and it wasn't like, oh my God, where the fuck did these calories come from? And this is just an example. Offended or not, I couldn't care. And it's not that I don't love the people that are listening. It's more so going, there's more factors in the story and the bullshit that we tell ourselves. Now, just understand the story I'm giving is simply a metaphor. It's an example. It could be money, it could be love, it could be friendship, it could be power, it could be anything. The thing is, it's unique to every single individual. The story, when I'm telling this story, what should be arising for each person is their own variation. We'll change the details. It's the same as the Blair Witch Project. It's fucking horrifying to watch. Although I haven't watched it in full for a very, very long time, but it's horrifying to watch because it doesn't show you what it is, right? Yours is different. The details are different. Your Blair Witch is different to the next Blair Witch, right? But it's all created. So we got to look at what that is. And yeah, it takes work. Of course it fucking takes work. I mean, this is just the beginning, the 10-minute mood prep podcast. That's all it is. It's just the beginning, the unfolding, the inquiry, the curiosity. That's all it is. Everything else is up to you. I can't do that work for you. You got to do that work. It's like me sitting here and just reading out some ideas about training. You're like, fuck, why am I not getting fitter? It's like, mate, you got to go do the fucking training, right? That's it. And you have that opportunity. This is the beautiful thing about this developmental work. You have the opportunity in every single fucking moment that you breathe to be able to do that. And that's the beauty of this work. Because it's forever unfolding. There's no stop button. There's no like, all right, you've kind of finished. You've got enough. Well done. Tick the box. There's your fucking mindfulness. It doesn't work like that. It's funny. Even on this course, I talked about mindfulness, and it's like that's not the point. It's mindlessness. It's not to fill the mind. It's to empty it. It's really quite fascinating. It's fascinating to look at it from the sense of going, here a sec. But I do really want it. It's like, then why don't you have it? And that's a genuine question. I'm not trying to say you don't. What I'm saying is, why don't you? I want to figure that out, right? It's like, I'm not motivated. It's like, you shouldn't be motivated to do the things in life that are important to you. If you have to be motivated, then don't fucking do it. Yeah, like, that's the thing. I mean, the gym's the biggest one, right? It's like, I'm not motivated. It's like, cool, don't go to the fucking gym then. Because you're not meant to be motivated. That's not the point, right? Wait until the doctor tells you that, if you don't lose weight, then you're going to fucking get diabetes, like type 2. You don't need motivate. You call that motivation. That's the mode. It's to move towards action. Yeah, that was the pain, the away from pain that we're talking about, not the towards pleasure. But what ends up happening in that circumstance is that from there, you start fucking doing shit. Nothing changed from the day before that happened, right? You're the same fucking human being. You just think differently now. You've got different meanings behind things. You've built different structures and thoughts and constructs and concepts. And so now you have a different definition. You had access to that the fucking day before that, but you chose not to because for some reason, the frame that you're running today is still serving something. Otherwise, you would change it. And I'll give you an idea. I'm going to leave it on this. If everything you did was running perfectly, you wouldn't be fucking listening to this podcast. You'd already be being. The fact that you're listening to this podcast gives you an inclination in inquiry, and you're realizing that actually there's something more out there that I'm not quite realizing. And once again, leave it. It's not out there, buddy. It's not out there at all. Think about that. Team, I'm out. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this podcast. And if you did, it would mean the world to me if you pass it on to a friend that you think would also get something out of this podcast. Otherwise, as always, I'm going to finish it here. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick today in the dick, slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
to be everything be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.